Good to see you again, Andre. This is our second time on CBM Calling. We connected back on April 15th and things were very different there. But maybe you can begin by just giving us a quick update on how you and your family are doing.
Thank you, Carla. We are doing well, and God has been faithful and merciful to us as a family. May know that children are still at home since March, and they're expecting to go back to school in September. We don't know the date yet. And as a family, we have been doing well, but that is life, up and down, getting sick, but God has been healing us. You may remember that it is already a month and 2 days that I lost my dear dad, and it was difficult for us as a family, but God has been healing us and being our hope, and just recovering from that and coming back to the normal life and the normal routine. So we are thankful to God for that.
Please receive our sincere condolences on the loss of your father, and many of us were very mindful of you during those days, and thank you for your attention to all the details.
Yeah, thank you, Carla, and all of the friends from Rwanda, Canadian churches, CBM office. Really, I appreciate your prayers and support.
Thank you. Well, us too. I'm now located in Edmonton, which is a city to which I have returned after a 20-year spot in Toronto. So our household too is doing well. It consists of my beloved Gary and my dear dad, who is living with us, and our daughter and son-in-law and 4 children are just 15 minutes away from us, and we're delighted to start this next chapter of life in being in relationship with them. So that's a little bit about my context too. But CBM has asked us today, Andre, to provide an update on our church partners in Africa during this pandemic. And so together, I mean, in the past weeks, we've been in touch with them. We've had Zoom calls with them. We've responded to emails. And so I think together we can provide the listeners of CBM Calling with a good update on our 5 partners in Africa. So maybe we can just consider each one in order, and maybe let's start with the AEBR. Could you give us a little bit of an overview of what AEBR means and a little bit of the parameters of their fellowship, and then tell us a little bit about what they're facing?
Thank you, Carla. As you know, as for CBM Africa, now we are working with 5 partners, and we have 1 in Rwanda, 2 in DRC Congo, 1 in South Sudan, and another 1 in Kenya. So as you requested, I will be talking about each one. And you may remember that almost a month ago, we did have a Zoom call just to connect with the partners to hear how they are doing and what is going on there and the good work that they are doing. So we were very happy to be with you, Carla, in that call, and John Chan. And so what I will be sharing is mostly the good feedback we got from them. And one of the partner, as I was mentioning, is the Association of Baptist Churches in Rwanda. Their name is AEBR. That is a French acronym. This is a relatively big church with around 240 local churches, and they are doing well. And in Rwanda, this situation of pandemic affected the country as everywhere else. And this time, there is no much virus among the people, but the new infections that are coming are from the drivers of the trucks that drive the trucks from the Indian Sea, bringing in the containers through Tanzania. And because of that country didn't take the COVID situation seriously, there are a lot of infections, and sometimes the drivers who pass by, they get tested at the border. And many cases we are having now are from those drivers and other few people in the Western province who have been doing trans-border business with the DRC Congo. So these are the new cases that we get in the Western country, eastern part of the country, but also on the east border from Tanzania. So generally, the country is doing well, trying really to stop the spread of the virus. And now, this time, the life is opening up, all of the business, motorcycle, taxi, and everyone now is mandatory to have a face mask going outside. You can see I have mine here that I have to carry all of the time I go out of my compound. And the government, 2 weeks ago, they opened up weddings in the churches, but in very limited number of people, 30 people. And the churches are discussing with the government to see which preventions measures that they can take so that a small number of people can start going to the church for worship. And all of the business opening, but obviously like any other country, the tourism industry has been seriously affected because no one from North America will be coming visiting the gorillas. You know, that is our the icon in Rwanda. So the partner, the Baptist Church, is trying to do some initiatives, mostly delivering food to the vulnerable people and those ones who lost the job because of COVID. So I would say that in Rwanda, they are doing quite well, and the government is really willing. So going to the second partner, that is the community of Baptist churches in Central Africa, CBCA, in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is a big denomination, really, with around 750 local churches. I would say that in that country, things are not doing well. By the time we talked the last time, I'm looking into my statistics here, in April, there were just 235 people in the whole country. But as I speak today, they have 6,000 people who are infected, and in many of the cases, of course, are in the big city of Kinshasa, and some other few cases in a different part of the country. So we are very thankful for the partner there. They are doing a good job really. When we received the information from the executive minister, who is Dr. Samuel Hembako, is the head of the denomination, they are doing a great job. Just because they are in lockdown, now they are using Facebook and social media to reach out to the people, using local TVs and the local radio to keep spreading the gospel to the people, because the church is still relevant and is still the hope for the people. So
I remember, maybe just I could just add that I remember in that phone or that Zoom call that we had, he mentioned that the CBCA sponsors 2 hospitals, and those hospitals were dedicated to hosting people with the virus. So they are serving their community in a very, very tangible way.
yeah, and a lot of things really going on with that particular partner. You know that April, May, there was a very heavy rains in the East Africa, and in the DRC Congo, in the area of Uvira, there has been a big mudslide and flooding, and the river covered almost the whole town, and they lost many people, and the CBCA really did a good job to reach out to the people in need. And I remember coming to CBM asking if CBM really can supplement what they were able to put together as the iron sheet, the clothes, and the food to go to help people in the region of Uvira.
Yes, and we heard from Christine, the development officer of the CBCA, just this week that those relief funds have made it there, and people are so grateful for receiving some items like the iron sheeting and mattresses.
Yes, yeah. The other, maybe the other update you may need to know is about the Ebola outbreak. This time it is in the central part, but yesterday I heard in the media that the eastern part, where last time it took life of more than 2,000 people. You remember when Terry and myself and Daryl, we went to stand in solidarity with the denomination. It was really very horrible in that eastern part. But yesterday, World Health Organization and the Ministry of Health in Congo, they declared 0 case in the eastern part of Congo. So we are very thankful to God for.
Thanks be to God. Mm-hmm. The
Yeah.
other partner in the Congo we refer to as the CEBCE.
Yes.
This is a newer organization to CBM's world, and it is the denomination to which our colleague Reverend Gato Munya Masoko has been delegated to come alongside. So maybe an update on the CEBCE.
Thank you, Carla. CBC community of Baptist churches in Eastern Congo. And again, CBCA stands for a French acronyms, and is a big organization, is a big denomination as well, around 620 local churches. And as you said, is a new partner with CBM. The MU was signed last December, and CBM have seconded the Reverend Gato as an embedded national field staff, and to work with, to accompany them in the process of reunification. You may know that they lived 21 years being in divisions as a denomination between majority and minority. So Gato has been working there and doing the basic assessment, discussing the findings to know where to start. So as other churches in the area, they have been doing a good job as well. And mostly the church members are trying to meet through sales group in their localities, just to keep connections, to keep connected, but also to keep worshiping together. So other thing that they are doing, they are also distributing some food to the pastors. You know, this time, because there is no church service, it's like every denomination is struggling financially to be able to, the pastors are not getting what they were used to receive as salaries from the offerings. So there is no gathering, there is no offerings, then the churches in general are struggling. Now,
one of the sorry, go ahead.
To distribute the food to the pastors' families this time.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just thinking one of the strategies that I thought was so creative that we heard the CEBCE talk about is taking seriously households, families. Families are now quarantined together, isolated together in ways that is very different from many families who, even as you're experiencing, the children are usually off at a residential boarding school for much of their school year, but the children are home. And the church has been asking, so how do we support the families? And they are strategizing to give them resources to think about. And even this week, we heard about a Canadian Baptist church hillside out in Moncton that is taking a same strategy. We heard that from our colleagues, Daryl and Laura Lee Buston, who are coming alongside that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that has been a very positive thing.
I think wanting to be positive during this pandemic time, I'm trying to imitate one of the WhatsApp image I saw where Satan was saying to Jesus, churches are closed. And Jesus said, no, the churches now are growing in numbers in families. Trying to be very positive, and I have experienced that on my family as well. I cannot count how many times I could sit with my family and have our own service as a family. But now it became a culture. We have one day a week of fasting and pray together, and then on Sunday we dress well, we sit together, and we sing, we worship, then someone preach, and that is the service. The church is still going on and growing up, and in our respective families. Really. And that's what we have witnessed from here and there, everywhere.
Let's, our time is limited, so I'm going to take us to South Sudan, where our partner is FEBAC, and certainly a country that is recovering very much from years of war and devastating floods. So they're managing so much in addition to the pandemic. But tell us about our partner FEBAC.
Yeah, FEBAC, Faith Evangelical Baptist Church. And just as you mentioned, they are from South Sudan, a country that is known really for I think it is 11 years old, but you know, they got the independence from the struggle and wars, and after they got the independence, the political unrest and conflict kept really arising the country because of different ethnic groups, armed group, all of the things. So the pandemic came when the country was really trying to recover, and they had already signed a peace agreement between the armed group that they have been fighting and the Unity and Reconciliation Government installed. And in the midst of that, the pandemic came up. And I was looking on the statistics as I speak today. The cases of COVID-19 are 1,942 from only 4 cases. The last time we were on a Facebook call. So that means that really the numbers has been rising, and I do not think that really the country has a lot of infrastructure that can help even the laboratories to test. But where that is the situation. And because of that, when we were talking with Stefano, he was saying even these numbers seem to be guessing because they do not have strong laboratories that can help. However, the church kept doing her mandate. I remember Stefano saying that because they have many different tribes with different languages, of course, the church is doing a good job by translating the pamphlet and the flyers just to create mobilization and to create awareness against the COVID. And the church is translating those pamphlets and the flyers to other languages so that they can disseminate the message to the people who live, to the other tribes who live in remote places. Of course, they are also trying to use local radio and TV to keep encouraging the church members.
Thank you. It's at the end of that call that we had with Reverend Stefano. He said something like, "Let us remember the future of the church is bright." It's time, the church's time. In the midst of so much, the courage and the faith of these colleagues of ours is just astounding. The
Yeah.
last partner that we have on our list is the ACC&s in Kenya. Tell us about them and summarize what we've been hearing from them.
Yeah, ACC&s stand for Africa Christian Church and Schools in Kenya, a relatively big church denomination as well, around 200 local churches. And they are located in Thika, in a metropolitan area of the big city of Nairobi. And they have been living under quarantine for about 3-4 months. And of course, like any other country, the cases of COVID have been increasing. This time they are about 5,000. And one of the things that they're doing to keep connected to the church members, they're mainstreaming the service on Sunday through Facebook and YouTube. You know, this is great. You know, for this year, they will be celebrating 50 years anniversary for partnership with CBM. And so we are looking for one day to join them. I know COVID have been interrupting. We had to meet in June, but we still hope for that will make a way so that we can meet sometimes later in the year. So the church, the ACC&s has been joining other Interfaith Council to request the government to allow them to open up so that they can keep encouraging the church members as well.
Yes, and a quotation that Reverend Jeremiah Ngumo, the legal representative of the ACC&s, said on our call. He said, "It feels like the church has been grounded. However, we can still offer a message of hope. Again, in the midst, our brothers and sisters in the African churches are ones who have just a solid understanding of God's sovereignty and provision in the midst of difficult times." Andre, as we close, let's identify, say, 3 particular prayer requests that we can share with all those listening and invite them to join with us in our concern for our Africa partners.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the first prayer request is about the church to be strong and stand strong, and but also finding a way of reaching out to the younger generation. That means that with the existence of the information technology, I know it has been a good way of shifting, try to reach out to people during this lockdown period. But we wonder if those youth who so only who can rejoice to the YouTube and the Facebook, if they will find the relevance of going to church. So I think our churches, leaders need to find a good way of keeping the youth and the young generation really motivated to follow the process, but also to understand what the church is, not the tablet or the computer. The second thing is just praying that our church partners have a capacity and be open to the new realities and changes, because life will no longer be the same. Even after COVID, many new trends and many shifts. So our churches, our leaders need really to keep their eyes open and to be able to embrace the realities that we are in, but also other realities that will come after COVID. The other prayer request is about praying for stopping the spread of COVID, because it is also affecting the church financials. If people cannot meet, they cannot give offerings, and then the financials of the churches are the finances are very struggling. And of course, pastors are struggling as well. And the good things is that the virus may stop, then people go to work, business opening, life keep going on, then the churches being able to work. So I think these are the main key prayer requests that I want to share with all of you listeners.
Thank you, Andre, and thank you to those who are listening, and thank you to those who show your concern in so many tangible ways. And we're grateful for your friendship, your companionship along the way as we support our partners in Africa. So thank you, Andre, and hopefully CBM will invite us to share updates in another few months.